In the last 2 years, especially in these days of COVID, there was a lot going on of Facebook, Twitter, and all these social media taking down and deleting. I guess they call it hate speech. I don't know what the freak they call it. But I'm just want to talk on that for a little bit because there's certain things that has happened to me that was taken down. I had certain friends that didn't unfriend me because they thought I was being hateful. Okay? I look at it this way. If you don't like what I'm saying, turn me off. If you don't like a friend, unfriend them. If you don't like a TV show, turn the freaking TV off or turn to another program. My name is Eric, and this is the craziness that lives inside my head. So I want to start off with, I was on Facebook. This is back in 2009. I was on Facebook. That's how long I've been on Facebook. And I had a friend. She was a lesbian. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of lesbian friends, a lot of gay friends, a lot of straight friends. So anyway, we all know that terminology of camping it up. You know, gay men love to camp it up. So I was playing around. I was upset. I was half upset. I was playing around, and I called one of my male gay friends a bitch. I said, I forgot what I said, but I did call him a bitch more than once. I kept calling him a bitch. So anyway, in the same posting, in the conversation, the same posting. So she wrote in the same posting, she goes, I don't like that word. And I just said, okay. And then I was talking to him again, you know how he responded to something else I said, and I said, oh, shut up, bitch. Talking to him, not to her. And she said, you need to stop using that word. I don't like that word. It's a something word. And I said, I'm not talking to you. And she came back and said, well, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know you're talking to. You shouldn't be use that kind of language on Facebook. And then I asked her a simple question. I said, why you have a problem with it? I said, first of all, I'm not talking to you, and I'm not talking about women. I said, I'm talking to a guy, and I'm calling him a bitch. A bitch is a female dog. Are you a female dog? And if you are, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Well, anyway, she unfriended me. Today, I probably would have got kicked off of Facebook. But the thing I'm getting at, when you call for free speech, technically it was a conversation on my post. It's my post, supposed to be free speech, to my friend. We were camping it up. He didn't have a problem with it, but she did. So she wanted me to stop, just stop it. I mean, if you don't like it, well, she did, she unfriended me, or just don't pay attention to that post and go someplace else. And that's what my rant is today. My rant is free speech versus hate speech, dysphoria. I mean, I don't know what to tell people. I remember back then, I think kids was committed suicide because somebody said something bad about them. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I grew up being bullied. I know what it is to be bullied. And the only way you can stop a bully is to fight back. Because a bully ain't gonna... I remember I was being bullied in school, and I went to the teacher. He's bullying me. And she said, well, move. She said, move to the other side of the room. I moved to the other side of the room. Then he's still bullying me. He would start throwing papers at me. He's throwing papers at me. You know how childish, which I was a child. I was in elementary school. But I'm just saying, the only way I stopped that boy from bullying me is after school we had a fight. He kicked my ass. Yes, he did kick my ass. And then the next day, he was bullying me, and after school, I started the fight. We had another fight. I mean, yes, I couldn't win the fights, but it got to a point, I guess for him, it got kind of boring. And plus, the other kids were telling him, leave him alone. Why don't you just leave him alone? So it wasn't fun anymore. Once it's not fun anymore, now they know a bully know you're not scared of them anymore. I should say they usually stop bullying, but I have had situations where it does get worse. But I don't want to go there because when it gets worse, those people who some bullies are not mentally well, so those you better stay away from. But what I'm trying to say is, free speech and hate speech, in my opinion, are two different things. The other thing is, I was always a fat kid. I was 430 pounds. That was my highest weight. I lost a lot of weight. And at the job I'm working, I was working this job, and the woman that worked there, they knew I lost a lot of weight. Of course, they were pretty heavy themselves, but they knew I lost a lot. They seen pictures of me being that big. I showed them the pictures. And I was talking about me. I was talking about me, and I was telling another girl about me being so fat. I was a fat this and a fat that. So the other girl says, I wish you stop using that word. I said, what word? First, I knew I wasn't cursing. What word? Fat. Say other things. Say pleasingly plump. I said I could say pleasingly plump, but the truth of the matter is I was fat. This is what I'm saying. The truth of the matter is I was fat. In fact, I was upset. I didn't mind being called fat, but when I went to the doctor, he kept saying you're obese, morbidly obese. Now that bothered me. That bothered me like, but it was. I didn't like it. I mean, what should I tell the doctor? He's being honest. He's being honest. I don't know about free speech, but he is being honest, and he is a medical doctor. If I don't like what he said and he's telling the truth, I go to another doctor who's going to say, "Oh, you pleasingly plump." I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm not saying there aren't any hate speech. There are. When I was on Facebook, there was somebody I worked with who I befriended, and I shouldn't have befriended him. This is back in 2009 because he was hateful. But I'm thinking, I'm on Facebook. It's a new medium. Most of the people that I was friends with were from my job. He was from my job. A lot of them from my job. I feel always from my job. But then he started to put hate stuff on it. If I were to say something, he would say something very vicious. He might say something like, "You fat fuck." What you think? I mean, now that's vicious. In my opinion, that sounds very hateful. But that's vicious. I know I'm fat, but to put other words to it, I mean, well, to make a long story short, he got kicked off of Facebook. And it wasn't me. It was the group that I was in. I think they made a complaint. I didn't complain. I ignore him. Now, should I? Maybe I did. I did unfriend him. But he got kicked off of Facebook because that group that I was in, the people from my old job, made a complaint to Facebook. They all made a complaint and he got kicked off because he was very hateful. It's the difference between free speech and being hateful. Now, some people have free speech. There are people who don't know how to communicate their feelings or life without being hateful. I had a friend like that. I had to stop being his friend. I got tired. He had a very pessimistic outlook on life. He didn't have anything good to say about anybody. I mean, I had friends who sometimes, if I'm with him, let's say for a weekend, and then I go to some other friends, they be like, "What's happening to you? Why are you acting this way?" Because all that pessimism was coming on to me. And then I'll go and be pessimistic to somebody else. I had to stop being his friend. I knew what it was. I had to stop being his friend. I mean, whether that's hate speech or not, he was very pessimistic and he didn't have anything good or well to say about anybody or anything. Now, somebody might say, "Well, that's hate speech." I don't know what hate speech. That's free speech because that's how he felt. It wasn't really hateful. It sounded hateful. I mean, I had a friend who said something about, he said something to me and I said, that sound like very hateful. He goes, "I hate everybody." I mean, and I'm going to tell you something else. When you get to this free speech and this hate speech and you stop hate speech, I want to know people goes with the hate speech, because I know those are the people I stay away from, and you ain't gonna know those people if you kick them off social media. What that saying is, um, you have friends, but you keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. Those are the ones that you want to know what the hell's going on in their mind. Because if you don't know what's going on in their mind, you don't know what they're doing behind your back. And you might say, "Well, I don't care what they're doing behind your back." Yeah, but they're putting a knife in it. You care. And if you still and how you say, in contact with them on social media, you can keep, as you say, keep it close to what the hell they doing. I think I'm rattling on. Well, anyway, the other thing I just want to mention, and then I'm going to shut it down because I'm rattling on. Expressing ideas. I just finished telling I had a friend who had a hateful way of expressing his opinion and his ideas. Okay. I got a couple of my posts on Facebook got deleted. It wasn't because it was hateful. It was because they said that it was misinformation. And I'm like, how can it be misinformation if I'm explaining my view on something? And I found that now that is taking down free speech. If I'm not giving you information, if I'm expressing an idea that I have about a subject, and I'm not giving you any any information, I'm just telling you. I think on those posts I would say that so and so said this and so said that, and then I'll expound what I think about it. And it was flagged for putting in misinformation, which, I mean, okay, the other person said it, and it may be misinformation. I'm saying what the other person said and giving you my views on it. Now, I Google a lot of stuff if I see on Facebook, especially when COVID came out. Any post that doesn't seem right, doesn't have misinformation, I thought, let me check this out. Well, everybody should be doing that. Now, I have a couple of friends who didn't. They put something on Facebook, some video or something, or a meme or mine, what you want to call it, and I would call them on it, and I would go Google it, and then I would put it in their post to check this out, and then they'll come back and say, "Oh, I didn't know that," and I would say, "Well, if you Google it, you probably would have known. You can't just put stuff up, that you can, but it's like people should get in a habit of verifying information." That's like, I had a friend, he stopped being my friend. You wonder why he stopped being my friend? He came up to me, he goes, "If I would have asked you to come fight with me, so and so, you're not going to come. The first thing you're going to ask me, who started the fight?" Yes, because if I'm going to get my ass kicked, I want to know who started that fight. Because if you started the fight, I ain't going out there to back you up. But if he started the fight, yeah, I'll come out there. I'll come out and help you. I'll fight with you. But if you started it, and then I had to make a decision if I'm going to get my ass kicked over your bullshit, no. This is what I'm talking about. You gotta check out the information. Anyway, this is Eric, and I went ranting on, and I hope you get the idea. Well, thank you for listening to the craziness that lives inside my head.